Welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, here trying to bring a little normalcy to this world. Does it ever happen? No, no, God, no. Why would the world be normal? That would make sense. But as always, another guest here to help me on this sometimes fruitless seeming quest. And that guest tonight is Myrna Lou Goldbaum, a master palmist, soulmate specialist, and author. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get it
Okay,
started. How you doing tonight, Myrna?
I'm fine and I'm happy to be here. This should be fun.
Oh, it should. Well, I hope so.
That's why I do it, because I want to have a little fun.
Well, let's see how much fun we can have. And thank you, Harley, for stopping by and watching as always. And start this off with a similar question to what I asked everybody in the beginning.
hmm
What brought you down the road to the spiritual path that you are now have been doing for a long time?
I've been doing
Because
it
you,
74 years. Well, I always like to help people. And one thing with palmistry, I can look in somebody's hand and help guide them if they need help. And I say, you want to go for your highest good. In other words, my mission is to help them. And that helps me. It's like therapy for me at the same time. So I started
well,
when I was 10. My mother gave me a library book to read, and it was on palmistry. And I didn't understand the book, but I understood the diagrams, the pictures, and that's how I got started.
I mean that's
And so it is spiritual because I'm trying to be the caregiver, the helper.
of course.
So
And I guess when did you begin to realize what it was you were actually reading a book about?
um, after I read the book, the first day I was in the hospital with her, she was a nurse, and I was waiting for a ride to go home. I understood the diagrams, and I went, "This is for me." I just got drawn to it.
Uh,
So
Now, so how I get when did you start? When did you start actually like practicing on people?
the next day, as soon as I got home, my sister was 6, I was 10, and I learned on her hand. So today she's 80. She walks with her hands behind her. She won't let me look. But I know everybody's hand by heart once I see it. So I could see you 25 years from now and tell you what happened those last 25 years.
Interesting,
Yeah. And
because I
then,
mean,
well, my husband said I'm a savant because I'm not good on school stuff or mechanical or computer, but this I'm A plus plus.
well, I mean, everybody needs a specialty in life, and this is definitely a good skill to have. I mean, how many hands have you read in your lifetime?
59,962 is where I am now.
Jeez, I feel like that should be in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Well, maybe. I doubt if anybody
Uh,
keeps track. I just did.
I mean, I feel like, well, actually, I don't know. That's a lot to keep track of. I am that impresses me alone. The fact that you can keep record of that.
Well,
Uh,
when I do a fair, I have everybody sign in. Can you see that? Here it goes like that. Can you see this?
yep.
They all sign in. I read their hand and I make a note right next to it. Mother and daughter needs a partner, unhappy at work, whatever it is, and then I have it. So then if they call me 6 weeks from now or 6 months and they say their name and I remember that I saw them or they tell me where I saw them, then I go in my head and see their hand and I can help them.
That's
So I don't help
that's
medically, but I mean I help other ways. So
well. I mean, a lot of these other ways can lead to medical issues. So I mean that's not a bad thing, and you're preventing stuff in the long run. Because I mean, how many have actually come back for a second or third reading? Like,
many, many people. And I have scrapbooks this fat full of wedding invitations, thank you notes, baby invitations, all kinds of stuff. So they
ooh,
come back and they say, I was here 6 months ago. I'd like to come back. I need a little tune up. And so I look in their hand and I tell them, well, you didn't listen to me. I told you don't do this and you did it. And that's true. It's free will. You have to do whatever you want. But if they pay me to come and have a reading, they should pay attention. And if I tell them do this or do that, and if they don't do it, I can't help it. you
Oh
know.
yeah, that's at their own peril if they don't want to listen. I mean, it's like that's good. Same as going to see a psychic medium or what have you and not listening to what they tell you. Like, why are you paying for the service if you're not going to listen? Like, that just seems a
That's
little.
right. Well, that's like throwing it away. Yeah. So when I help somebody, I don't say dump the guy or move out of your apartment. I just say it would be a really good thing if your resume isn't up to date, get it ready. And if you're not happy with the situation you're living in, maybe you should look around. Don't make a change, just think about it and look around, see if you can make something better for yourself.
Oh, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, and that
It's
way you're
all
not
common.
really.
What it is common sense. That's right.
So, how does, because I actually had a guest on about a month or two ago that talks about the science behind like our hands, but how does palmistry work for you? Because
Well, it
is it
is a
more science?
science. Yeah, it is a science. I believe that. When I wrote, oh, when I wrote my book on May I See Your Hand, which they're back here. Can you see this white book? I wrote this
Mm,
book and I had to have,
barely.
okay, I'm going to bring it up. So I wanted to have it right. So I did a little research, even though I remember what I saw in the book that I learned from. And I found out in 1967 in America, every resident or intern has to take one whole day on palmistry. So that is scientific because they have to spend a day learning about the hand. So that if they have a
Mm,
newborn baby, they check and see if it has a good, if the heart is okay or if the liver is okay. They can tell by looking on the hand.
interesting. I never knew that.
Well, you asked me if it was science. I think that's
Uh,
scientific, you
that's
know.
that's that's very scientific. I mean, I don't. She didn't even mention that fact. So that's. I mean, that right there shows you best proof. I mean,
Well, there are
and
gypsies, people that go out and say, I'm going to put a spell on you. Those are no, that's not what I do. So that isn't
oh yeah.
scientific. That's like a Romanian person or a gypsy from somewhere. I don't do that. I tell the truth. But I also listen. When they talk to me, I listen to what they have to say.
So what would you say? All right, here's a good question actually. What was the most interesting palm reading you've ever done out of 59,000 and change? What was the
Nine,
most? What was the? What's the one that's?
962. I did Gerald Ford. He used to be our president, and
Yeah.
I lived in Colorado, and he was a keynote speaker at this big event, and there were 10 of us that were there as entertainers. And he got in my line, but I was busy doing this and reading people, and I didn't look up. And all of a sudden, I see he's there with 4 Secret Service. And he sits down and he goes, I don't believe in this stuff. I don't know what I'm even in your line for. So I thought, uh oh. So then he said, if you don't tell me something only I know, I'm going back downstairs and tell everybody you're a phony. So I went inside myself and I told him something that only he knew. And I made the Secret Service back up away from him and stand across the room. And he goes, I'm a believer. I told him something that he said Betty Ford didn't even know that. So that's pretty interesting.
What's? Yeah, I mean it's interesting that I mean because to actually get to read that palm of a president is
Well,
amazing. Like,
he was a past president by then. But the thing
it was
was,
past.
he
It was
wasn't
past this time.
he wasn't yeah, he was already living in Colorado in Vail.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if he was like there for an event or something, and it happened to be the
No.
time. But he was out of office already. Okay.
But he's the most
Yeah, I mean,
famous one.
well, he's the most famous one, but I guess like what's the most interesting read you guys more what I was going with along the lines of like what's the one reading that sticks out the most because it's just like it was so
Okay.
mind blowing what I
I
told
got
you.
it. I got it. The mayor of Santa Barbara came. I was working in for her, and she said, "I understand you read palms. Come with me." She took me in a room, and I sat her down, and I started reading her hand, and I said, "Oh my God, did you have twins?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Were they kidnapped when they were 4 years old?" She started to cry. I didn't know anything about that, but it was on her hand. So she said, "We have to do this another time." Then I found out that they were kidnapped and returned. They got them back. So
Wow.
that's pretty. That was like hair raising. That really got to me, and I have never gotten over that 100%. That was in Santa Barbara, California.
That's the fact that you could know that from reading someone's hand is
Well, a
mind
hand has
blowing.
a plethora of information. So, in a reading that I do, like on the internet, when people write to me, takes me an hour, hour and a half, and I get enough information to fill up 5 to 6 sheets of typed, single space typing. That's a lot of information. It takes a long time to read that.
How do you how do you do it when people do it online? Do they have to send you a handprint, or
Right.
do they have or a picture or
They
something?
take a picture of their hand, the one they eat and write with, and then they send it to my email, and then I read it, and they either pay by PayPal or a check, and then I
Yep.
send back email back to them their 5 or 6 page, depending on what I find. It might be 6 pages or five, but it's big. Takes a half hour to read it.
And you can read it through a photograph. That's interesting. I
Well,
mean, I
I go up to the mic. I have a magnifier, and I go right up to the screen, and I hold it on there so I can see everything I need to see.
oh, okay.
Because
Because I mean, the last she didn't call she wasn't a palmist. She was there's another name for it that she used, but she would need like full handprints. Like she would actually like send a kit for them to make handprints, and that way she could read off that.
okay,
I mean, I
well,
forget what
well, I read fingerprints. I read the nail shape, all kinds of things. So if a person's hand
interesting.
is upside down, I can only see the tip of their nail. And I can tell a lot
True.
from that.
Well, actually, I'm kind of curious. What can you tell from the nails? Because that's kind
Well,
of
some people bite their nails, so that shows me they're nervous. Some people grow real long ones, and that shows me that they're all interested in self, because otherwise they wouldn't have nails out to here. Some people have no nails at all. You can't even see it when they turn their hand over. So that's one of the things I look at. When I'm sitting with somebody in front of me, I can see the little half moon that's right here by the edge of your finger, and then I can tell what's going on with them. I can tell by the color. If it's a bluish color, that means they're kind of ill and they don't even know it. So then I send people to the doctor. That's what I said. I can't predict medical stuff, but I can tell if somebody needs help.
well, that's I mean, well,
That's pretty
that's
important. Yeah.
of course it is, of course it is, and
Well, I've saved a few lives, so that's what I
I'm
think
I'm
is.
sure. I mean, out of 59,966, I got it right, didn't
Two,
I? Yes,
62.
62. Darn, off by four. But I mean, out of that many people, I'm sure you had to. I'm sure you saved a good amount of lives actually. But I mean, you could have prevented
Well,
things that could
I
have.
get 90 to 95% right, so I'm not perfect. I might miss by a year on something because a year on a hand is about millimeter big. It's about teeny little bit. So I zoom in close as I can to it. So I don't tell
Yeah,
people you're going to die at 90 right on the I don't do that. I say you have longevity from your family and maybe you'll go to the 90s or 91 or 92.
yeah. Which I mean, that's as accurate as I would ever want to get anyway. I don't want to know the day I'm going to die. Who would want to know
Well,
that? Like,
I'm saying I'm not exact to the minute, but I'm close. Okay.
have they ever had you? Have you ever done anything with any like prisoners or something like that to find out?
Um, I worked on the John Benet Ramsey case. You remember that about the little
Oh, I
girl?
know that case well. Yep.
Okay. Well, I called the police department and said I want to help, and they said we don't want no stinking psychics, and we're not talking to you. And I said okay. 6 months later, they called me up in the DA's office, wanted me to come in, and I said, "Ooh, what do I have to come in there for?" And they said, "Well, we want to talk to you." So I went in, and they said, "We understand you want to help. What do you know?" And I know so much. I sat in front of that house in February in Colorado. It's cold. And I sat
Yeah.
for an hour and I went through the whole house mentally. And I just saw things I never even didn't know what it was. And I said, I see something with ropes and pulleys and a little platform. Turns out it was a dumbwaiter. I never heard of that before. And that's what whoever killed her put her on that and brought her down the basement.
Inter.
So, and then there was a whole lot of other stuff I came up with on that too. So 8 different things.
Oof. Way to bury the lead that you worked on such a prolific case in history. I mean, everybody
Well,
knows that name, John Benet
right. Well,
Ramsey.
she would have
Everybody
been
knows that.
16 now. or maybe
Is that it?
20. She's a long time
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was a kid. I was a kid myself when that happened. So I mean I heard about it when it happened, but it's
Yeah.
just horrible, horrible. But well, but
Well, I lived
what
near
are
there.
some? Oh,
That
okay.
where we
Well,
lived was fairly near there, so that's why I did that. But when I had to see the DA, they said we're going to go to court and you might have to testify. I said, can I send it in from the other room? I don't want to do it. And he said, no, you have to come. Well, they got acquitted, so I didn't have to.
yeah, unfortunately they did, and who knows what really happened. But I mean,
I
I'm
know,
pretty
I
well.
know, I
Yeah.
know who did it.
Uh,
But the thing is, it's
oh
going to be around for 100 years. They're going to be talking about it because nobody's ever going to go to jail for it.
no, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's getting to the point where the 30-year period has passed and they can't do anything about it. It's getting close to that point, at least, if not
Or
near there yet.
you're losing your light. Yeah.
It's a sensor light. After a few times, it stays on. But so, what are some what are some things that palmistry has taught you over the years? Like, what lessons have you learned from doing it?
Well, for myself or from just lessons in general.
Life lessons, lessons yourself,
Okay,
either
well,
way.
I found out that people lie. A lot of people
Oh,
sit down and they tell me, no, I've never been married, and I see 3 divorces on their hand. And they say, well, no, I just live with people, but I didn't marry them. Then when it's time to leave, they stand up and say, you know what, I lied. I have been married 3 times. This woman told me that. She was 34 years old. That's not
jeez.
good. That's not good. You know, the young ones think it's easier to get divorced than it is to work at it. And in a marriage, you have to work at it, right?
As a married man, I 100% agree with you because I don't want to go to divorce court.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
good.
but you love your wife too. That's a different thing. You
No,
know.
of course.
Well, some people don't love who they're with, so then they get out of it. Then the very next person that asks them to get married, they say okay, and then they get married, and that doesn't work. You know, but it's pretty eye opening.
34, 3 marriages. My God, I'm 36 and I'm still mind blown. I'm in a marriage even. No, that's insane. Well, besides the fact that people lie, because I mean, people
Well,
lying is
that's I don't lie. So when somebody lies to me, I know it because I can get what I get from their hand, and they tell me no, and I see, oh yeah, you know. So I don't call them on it. But I've had 2 murderers, I've had embezzlers, blackmailers, kidnappers, all kinds of stuff, and I call them on it when I see it. I say, so your wife doesn't know you have a safety deposit box, and you've been hiding money in there and putting stuff in, and they go, shh, she's shopping over there. She might hear you. That just
yeah,
happened
that's
this
good.
weekend. That just
That's
happened.
brilliant. That's
Yeah,
brilliant,
yeah. It's
dude.
right on his hand. It said he was, not being truthful.
So the way you describe it though is palmistry like is there like a small psychic element to it in a way?
Um, I'm a little psychic. I don't say I'm a psychic. I think
Yeah.
since I've been doing this so many years, it's second nature to me, and it becomes easier. And I teach classes, and the people I teach aren't psychic.
Describe it. I want to see.
I
So yep, I'm listening. And I mean,
so
I
I
mean,
think
cause
I'm a little psychic, but more I'm a palm reader than I am a psychic.
well, yeah, the way you described the John Benet Ramsey thing, to me, it seemed like you're going through the house and having like psychic feelings almost to it.
Well, that
So
was that was yeah. And then I went to a lecture that was in the library, and there was maybe a couple hundred people there. And when I walked out, the radio people that were there, because it was like a circus, there was
yeah,
tents and trucks and radio everywhere, and they interviewed me. And I didn't want to say too much because I didn't want everybody to know who I was, that I was involved with it. And it came out anyway. Then the National Enquirer called me. You know who that is?
oh,
The
National Fire,
newspaper.
of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, I did the woman cop that found John Bonet in my house 6 weeks before that happened. And she walked in, sat down, and I said, so you're a policewoman, aren't you? She goes, well, yeah. So I said, why do you hate your job? It looks like you're trying to quit. And she said, that's exactly right. And then when the Enquirer called me, they said, have her come back, do another reading, leave the phone off the hook, and we'll eavesdrop. And I said, I don't do things like that. They said, then tape record it and send us the tape. We'll pay you handsomely. I said, I don't do that either. So that's weird.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the National Enquirer, so what do you expect?
Well, I know, but okay, my husband didn't believe they called me. So one day they called me again, the second time, and he answered the phone and he goes, it's for you. And the guy told him who he was. He said, this is Don Gentili. I'm at the Enquirer. So he goes, I think I believe you now. And he gives me the phone. So I
Jeez,
get called. I get lots of stuff like that.
I mean, I love when my guests actually have worked with like the cops and when like with the criminal element because it's so fascinating. It's like the people in novels actually that do this for a living and
That's why I write books. Yeah, that's why I write, because I have enough stuff from people that I see. I could probably write 50 books if I had time. So the one I wrote that's a novel is over here. I don't know if you can see that. This one's called Cruise to the Other Side.
huh.
It's a cruise ship, and there's a psychic on it, and a whole bunch of stuff happens in it. I scared myself when I was writing it.
Oh, I mean, it's a
Something
cruise
just
ship.
happened. Oh, there you are.
Oh yeah, my camera went up for a second. But is it? What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So is that book? I'm assuming is it fiction or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made that up. Yeah, it's not real, but it's a
Well, I
nice
mean,
one.
there's plenty of psychics that go on cruise ships, so it could be real. But
I don't know that there's psychics there, you know. But
oh yeah, I've been on cruise ships where they actually have psychics as like performers.
right, I tried to do that and they won't let me. They said,
Really?
"Oh no, there's religious people here who they would never use our." Well, I go on Princess, and they said the
Um,
people here are not into this, and if you did that, they'd never come again. So it would hurt their business, so they wouldn't let me do it. But when I was on a cruise ship, I had the photography people. I made friends with them. They took me downstairs in the part that you don't get to see, and they showed
mhm.
me everything that was in there. And there was a jail, there was a medical center, all kinds of stuff that you don't know about. Security with cameras everywhere, all over the ship. They have cameras. And they're watching
Oh
all
yeah.
the time. They have people that do nothing but sit there and watch them. So I saw where the medical center was. So this is a story about a mother and a daughter, and the mother falls down the atrium steps and she hits her head, and she dies. So she's in the medical center when the daughter runs in to see her, and there's a big deathbed scene, and they put her in the morgue, and there's a morgue on every ship too, and that's how it goes like that. So anyway,
Oh yeah.
the book is a page turner,
Yeah. I mean,
and I have all my
I've heard,
books.
I've heard there's morgues on cruise ships. I always knew that as a fact, but because when you're a kid on a cruise ship, some of the workers like to tease you with that.
Yeah, well, some of the
But
older people might die, or somebody could hit their head and fall down, and that's what happened in my book.
well,
So,
that's interesting. Very, very.
so
It sounds like a.
the thing that made my bones that I have the most calls on is soulmates, because I'm a soulmate specialist. I'm a matchmaker. So I just got an email tonight from somebody that I fixed up with somebody from this fair that I did last weekend. And he said they talked on the phone for an hour. They're going to get together. And if that doesn't work, I'll give them another name. And I don't charge them for that. That's just something I do. If I know somebody matches somebody else's, what they need or what they want, I put them together.
So, since you tend to know your numbers, how many successful marriages have you led to?
That I caused to happen.
Yeah.
3,000 that I had to give a wedding check to.
Oh,
So that's pretty good. Because that would be
that's
6,000 people, 3,000 weddings.
yeah. That's
That's a lot.
that's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
take that, eHarmony. I'm sure you didn't do that many.
Some of them got divorced. I can't help that. If I put them
Well, yeah.
together and maybe they're married 5 years and break up, I can't do anything about that. But I know what somebody needs. I can tell in their hand what they desire, and the other person might have other needs, but they sort of are the same. And I say, here's her number, here's his number, get together, or email. That's what they do. So,
Yeah,
so it's
that's
fun
amazing
for.
though.
That's what I said. This is fun for me. I have a good time with it. I've only had two
So
people I didn't like out of all the
mm,
people that I've read. Only two, and they were both very negative, and I couldn't get past it. So I said, I can't
oh,
take your money. I can't read you. Please leave my table. And so that
well, I
isn't
mean,
good.
but two out of that number is that's a very low percentage. It's very low.
Well, I lived in
So
California. I lived in Indianapolis. I lived in Colorado for 21 years, and I read in all those places. So that
interesting.
there's 52 weeks in a year, and I used to do 30 fairs a year. Now I only do
Hmm.
20 because I'm an old lady now. So
Nah.
I'm 84.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing 20 weeks out of the year, that leaves a little more than half that I'm not working weekends. But then I teach
Huh.
classes, so that takes up every other month I do a class.
Teaching classes on palmistry.
hmm Takes
Oh,
two
that's
hours. The kind that I do is Oriental, comes from China. And the kind that most people know is Hindu Indian, which is very complicated and takes a long time to learn. So I was going to learn that, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm really good at what I do. Why would I switch? So I just stayed with what I do. So when I teach it, I tell people, I guarantee you can read or you don't get to leave. And they're all reading each other and having a good time, and they get it. They don't want to leave. They don't want to go home. I have to shove them out the door.
jeez.
So I do 10 at a time. That's the most I can handle because I have to give them, work with them a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's that's Oriental palmistry, huh? I never. I mean, that's where I always assumed it would come from. I never heard of Hindi palmistry.
Never heard of Indian? Well,
Well, not Indian palmistry. Yeah.
it's called Indian Hindu or Hindu Indian.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's real complicated. This one is real simple. Here's my hand. I don't know if you could see it.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, well, that's the lines I look at. There's five of them, five basic lines. Then this is the list of what I talk about. There's a huge big list here. See that? So everybody has the first five basic lines, which is normal. Lifeline, love line, work, reproduction, bracelets. Then there's symbols. And I have like 50 symbols, and some people only have 3 or 4, or some people don't have any. Some people have more than me. Everybody's different. Both your
What would
hands
you
are
say?
different.
Oh, that makes sense. But what would you say is the rarest symbol that that you've come across?
The rarest would be
Yeah, the one that you're.
the double-sided stars, which is an X like this, superimposed
Hmm.
on top of another X. And I only saw 4 of them in my whole life.
What does that typically stand for?
Double good luck.
Oh,
So
that makes sense why it's rare. That makes
but
sense why
some
it's
people
rare.
have no luck. They go, I'm
Oh,
a hard luck person, I have no luck. And I say, yeah, you don't have too many X's on your hand. The letter X means good luck. But if it's superimposed on top of another one, it's a definite
mm,
good luck. It's a super.
mm. I don't know. You got me looking at my hands now, like, okay, I see a lot of X's, but
Okay, but watch here. I want you to do something. Take both hands and fold them up, just like. Can you see what I'm doing? Fold your
yep, like
hand.
that.
Yep. Now, what thumb is on top?
The right one.
Okay. Are you right-handed?
Yep.
And you're normal. Okay. My left comes up on top. I'm right-handed. Can you see?
Uh,
So
yeah.
I was born left-handed, got switched because my generation they didn't want left-handed babies. So I
Yep.
have 2 voices in my head. You have 1. So I make more mistakes than you do because I hear na 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 na, and you just hear na 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 na. You just hear one talk to you.
So instead of the classic angel and devil on each side, I just have the devil.
So I have a double. Yeah, yeah.
That's that's actually really interesting. That's
Well, here's
something
the
so
other
simple,
thing.
but
My husband's left-handed, so I gravitated that way towards a lefter
oh,
because I am a lefter. I like, even though I write with my right hand, I couldn't even eat with this hand. I'd miss my mouth. because I'm not used to using my left hand for things. I call it the helper hand. Just if you're taking down something high up, you don't get it with one hand. You take both hands, bring it down. So I'm
Yep.
definitely have to use my right hand for most things.
So,
Go ahead.
as a soulmate specialist, I'm kind of curious. How old were you when you were the first person you actually introduced to their soulmate?
Um, I was 48.
Oh,
So
really?
it took me a long time to get to that, because when you're 10, you just want to see the lifeline on everybody. When you're 16, the boys in high school would say, "Are we going to win the football game?" And they show me their hand. Well, it's not on there. And I say, "Let me see." And I pretend like I'm looking at it. So I would say I was midlife. I was like 48 when I got when I really knew.
No. I mean that's well. I mean, I either I don't know. I don't know. I either expect it to be right where it was, or I expect it to be like really young, like it's like a thing you were born with or something. But
I don't think so.
yeah.
I just think that I liked it so much, I gravitated that way, and I've done it so long that it's second nature. I just do it. I could be in a restaurant and a waitress sets a dish down, and I look and peek in her hand, and I say, "So you have 3 children and one on the way?" She goes, "Shh, they don't know that here. I don't want them to know yet. I'll have to quit working."
Hmm.
So I don't know how I know that. Or I did a
Yeah. I
14,
mean,
Well, I did a 14-year-old little girl once, and I said, "Oh my God, you had 2 abortions already?" She said, "Yeah, my mother doesn't know. I'd appreciate it if you talk softer so she doesn't hear she's over there."
what?
How
Jesus,
you
that's
like that?
horrible.
That's terrible.
That's that's terrible. Yeah. I mean, but
Yeah, that was
uh,
bad. But I see, I had 2 murderers, 2 guys that used to wear a headset and we plug in and tape record. And it was in Denver, Colorado. 2 different years, 2 different fears. The first one said, I do a test with an emery board, and I just have them lay their hand down, and I see if their blood pressure's high or low. I check that a little bit, and the emery board flew across the room. I had to unplug everything, go get it, pick it up, come back, and I said, "I see you broke the law," because that's why his finger was doing that. He didn't want me to know, so he said, "You want to see my ankle bracelet?" And I said, "So why are you wearing an ankle bracelet? What did you do?" And then he told me that he played chicken, where 2 guys drive their cars at each other, and nobody
yeah.
gives in, and he caused a head-on collision that killed somebody. Just for one,
Okay.
so he had to go to jail. Then the other one beat somebody up, and the guy got in a coma, never woke up, so he had to go to jail. See, but then
So,
that's they didn't shoot somebody, not that kind of a murderer, but they are somebody that died because of them.
oof, that's
See?
interesting.
Yeah.
So, have there been any other crimes that you've helped police solve?
No, I don't do. I try not to do that too much. I only did the
Yeah.
Jean Bonnet thing because everybody was talking about it. I live near there, and I thought, okay, I'm right 1 town away from there. I'm going to go look, and I went. I went in the house mentally, and I saw they had 2 refrigerators. I've never seen a house with 2 refrigerators side by side, ceiling to floor, built into the wall. That was a long time ago. Now they do that recess things like that, but that was like state of the art stuff, and it was stainless
Yeah.
steel, and nobody had that yet. So I saw that. Then I saw the thing with the pulley ropes and stuff, and that was this thing that it's called a dumbwaiter. Then
Yeah.
I saw a room with a desk and a. Do you remember? And maybe you never saw a movie. Like a movie with Bela Lugosi or some of those people, they would go into a room, touch something on a mantelpiece, and the room would go like on a Lazy Susan and open up.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Okay, well they had that. They had something on a mantelpiece you touched, and a wall moved, and there was a room back there. And I told the police what was in there. I said, "You're going to find a 3-hole desk with 3 drawers on each side, and that's all, and a chair." And they said, "Okay, what's in the drawers?" So I looked in my head and I said, "All porn magazines." That's what was in there.
That
That's all.
seems like a long way. That seems like a long way to go just to hide your porno.
No, I
I
think that
mean,
was the older son would go in there and by himself and just, read. So that was the
uh,
beginning. So that was
it's
how I went through the house, through every room and everything. So there were 8 things I found. That
Jeez.
was, and that room was a big one. Then I do stewardesses a lot of times in Denver. They would have a layover for 4 or 5 hours. So they would come in a whole carload, would come to my house, and I'd do 5 or 6 of them all in a row together. And I said to one of the stewardesses, "Can you have a plane ticket with no name on it, not typed on there, and it's just blank?" She said, "Oh, that's illegal. Where'd you hear that?" Well, the grandma was waiving a plane ticket, and she said that the older grandson was at her house, but it was a blank ticket. So money talks. Somebody bought that.
Yeah,
So,
apparently.
so that there was 8 things. So that was one of them. It was just very interesting. But I don't like to get into police stuff. I like to watch it on TV, but I don't want to
Yeah,
be
of course.
involved in something like that.
Oh, I don't blame you. There's certain things you don't want to get involved in because
Well,
then,
it's kind of on the seamier side. I just don't like it.
yeah, yeah,
So
don't blame you.
yeah, but I meet such interesting people when I do. If I do readings at a fair, they're only 15 minutes, so it's quick. But if they come here and it's an hour, I can delve way down in there. And when I do it on the internet and I'm typing 5 or 6 pages, it's deep. It's called an in-depth interview is really what it is. It's not light and fluffy.
Hmm. I don't know. You're making me. I kind of want to get one done. Like it's kind of like I'm curious to what mine would read
Well,
because I
see,
never.
put your hand up and let me see if I can see anything.
Camera's not that
Okay.
good, but
Yeah, I can see it. Um, so your lifeline says you come from people who are fighters and survivors, no quitters. Would you say that's you?
yeah, basically, I don't quit easy. So yeah, that makes
Well, I
sense.
mean, there's whiny people who go, "I can't do it," and that's not you. It says you come from people who go, "I will do it if it kills me. I'll figure it out." See,
Yeah,
so
that's my family.
well, but that's you got those genes. See, so you come from a lot of different people. You have the mother, father, grandparents on both sides, all kinds of relatives. So you're made up of all those different genes. So you got the not crying, not the whiny gene. You got the strength one.
Oh,
And your
that's
lifeline is strong and very deep. So that says no hospital, no wheelchair, no nursing home when you're old. So that means you'll
good.
be strong like this even when you're way up there.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I I've heard I've had a couple different psychics tell me like 90-ish, like that. Like I've heard 91, I've
That's
heard
what it
92.
is.
Like,
That's what it is. That's what I saw.
uh,
Same thing. Some of the people who came to me at this last fair said, "I just heard that over there and over there. I had 3 readings. You all said the same thing." Well, we all got the same information. They got it different ways than I did, but we got the same, we ended up with the same result. So I said, "Well, you know what? I guess we read it off of you." I do read the energy of a person, but I have them sign that sheet that I showed you, and I feel their
yeah,
handwriting, and I'm in. If I feel the handwriting, I know they're not going to put a wall up and block me. They're open.
yeah, of
And the
course. I
people who
mean,
put walls up, I have to break the walls down. Take time to do that, and that isn't good when you're only doing a 15-minute reading. You want to be able to get right in. Then I tell
oof,
them to
I
do
might.
something. I'm going to have you do one other thing. Shake your right hand 5 times. Then you're going to go slap on the desk or the table in front of you. Slap it. Now, are your fingers open or are they closed? Good. That says you're fair and equal with everybody. Never show favoritism. That's what that
Yeah, that's
means. If you did this, you're an introvert. If you do that, you're a big mouth. So you didn't do any of that. You just were exactly the same in between each finger. See? So I do that
yeah.
too.
Well, I mean, I always like to say I like to say everybody knows me equally.
Well,
So
the thing is, you
interesting.
can't hide your light. You are who you are, and people either know or don't know. So
Oh,
most people can tell right away on somebody. Either you like somebody or you just tolerate them, right?
yeah, usually that's usually the way it goes. I mean,
Well,
plenty of
if
people,
you
plenty of
don't
people in
like
this
them at
world
all,
use
you make a big beeline away from them.
if you can. Not always an option in life, but if you
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, yeah. we might have to talk after this, but I was setting something up for because I'm dying to know more. It's I I interview all these people with these special abilities, and it's always like, why is there none of that around me? Why is there none of the? I can't find any of these people in my state. Like I Google things all the time and nothing comes up. Like
What did you check my website?
I did not have a chance to check your website now.
Oh, okay,
I
so you did. Okay, if you did, my website won some awards. My husband made it. So you know who Google is, and Alexa
hmm
and Bing, all those. Well, they went together and they did a survey, and it came out I was the 12th best palmist in the world and the 6th best website for palmistry in the U.S. So that was
well
pretty good.
that's some damn good recognition right there.
Yeah,
That's
I'm proud of that. Then I have over 800,000 hits on my website. So
that's
that's a lot of, that's
insane.
almost a million. I'm trying for a million. Someday it'll hit that.
Well, hopefully doing podcasts like this will definitely help with that a lot and
Yeah.
get you out there more so people will go check it out.
Well, let me tell you what my website is so that your listeners could look it up. It's www dot and my name myrnalou.com. It's all one word, Myrna Lou. It's like Mary Lou, so only it's Myrna Lou.
Yep.
So if they did that and they look up my website, I had a TV show called Soulmate Connections, and it came from in Colorado. It was on cable. It was my own show, and I had 24 people at a time in a show that I would put on. A couple minutes with each couple, and I would talk to them and then tell people about them. So it was pretty interesting. Nobody's ever done that before because you never see palmistry on TV, right?
I mean, not that I can recall. I can't remember. Maybe when I was
Maybe it's
younger,
in a
but I mean,
movie once in a while for 5 minutes, but that's it. So they never had that. So I was really popular there because all those people had to sign a release form, and then I had to get them to the place. So I did it, and it took a lot of hours. It takes 8 hours to make 1 hour of a good TV show. That's a
yep.
whole day
Oh
because
yeah,
there's a
and
lot of throwaway stuff because a lot of the people don't talk. They go or they go mm-hmm. And I say, "What's your name?" And they won't even talk to me. They're shy all of a sudden. They saw a camera. I had 3 cameras. They see 3 cameras coming at them, and they couldn't. It
they
just
get the
made them
stage.
nervous.
They get the stage fright. Yeah, it's something that those people would think they can do it, but then they just
Well,
get
I'll
up there
tell
and they
you a good
freeze.
one. CBS Radio had me on, and they said, "This is going out to 50 million people. Are you nervous?" And I said, "No, because I know my subject matter. Why would I be nervous?" And I'm in my own house in pajamas doing a show, so it didn't matter. So they said, "Okay, if you can do a show and you're not nervous, we want you to come on 3 times." And I did CBS 3 times. So if you add that up, that's 150,000, a million people.
Well,
50 million, 50 million, 50 million.
you definitely have gotten out there in life, and you definitely have gotten your
Well, I'm supposed
trade
to be
out.
slowing down now. And so far I haven't. I'm not slowing down too much, because I
Yeah, well, I
lecture.
mean,
Um,
keeping busy keeps you young. I mean,
well, I
that's
think it
life.
keeps your mind active. Some people say school's way back there. I'm never reading another book. Well, they're killing brain cells. So other people
Exactly.
go, I want to learn everything. I want to learn that. This is interesting. And they're not scattered. They're just grabbing it. They want to have a lot more going on. So then their brain is doing stimulated and it's doing this instead of, see. So I think I'm like
Well,
that too.
gotta ask because this is a paranormal show, so I do have to ask: have you ever come across anything extraterrestrial in your readings?
No, I've read people who do that. Did you ever hear of Stephen Greer, Dr. Greer? He did the
Yes, I
Disclosure
have.
Project. Okay, I read his hand. And Stanton Friedman, I read his hand. I did a
Stanton Friedman.
I did a MUFON convention one time, and I was working there, and they both came and got in my line, so I've had both of
Okay,
them. And
and
I have
nothing interesting.
oh, there was a lot there, yeah. Well, Stanton Friedman said that he saw somebody came to his back door, a screen door, was looking in his house, and it was a little short thing, 5 feet tall, and it had no hair, no, great big eyes. he described what he saw, and I looked in his hand, and he wasn't lying. He really did see that, or he thought he saw it. I don't know. It showed on his hand that he's carrying that impression with him. So
Interesting. That's
yeah,
freaking awesome. Uh, anything on the like if people come to you for problems with like ghosts or hauntings in their house, like that type of thing,
yeah,
or
yeah. I can't do anything about that because I'm not an exorcist. I can't get them out. I can tell them what to do to clear their house, and I tell them buy a white candle, light it in each room in your house for 30 minutes, move it from room to room, and have a window open about a couple inches so that the bad energy can go out. That's one way.
huh?
Then if somebody has an ex that's bothering them and they can't get away from them, I tell them to buy a lemon, cut it in half, put it in a little baggie with a little note that says you're out of my life, and you put it in the freezer and forget about it, and you freeze them out. So I have little tricks that. Is your
Like,
light not liking you today?
apparently, it's not liking me today, and I don't know if it's the spirits that live in my house messing with me, but it just
Well, I'm not doing it.
no, no,
uh,
no. I have legit spirits in my house. So I don't
well,
know.
see,
It
I'm not
usually
making. Well, I have too much electricity and I cause stuff to happen, but that's here. I
yeah.
cannot
That's
buy
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
some nights it doesn't like to stay on. I don't know why. Usually after like 4 or 5 times, it'll just stay on for like a couple hours and not go off. But
Huh.
it's it needs to be replaced. Working on that.
Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, Myrna, I want to just the final question I like to ask a lot of people on the show is, if you had one message to tell people out there in the world, what would that message be?
Believe in yourself. There's magic out there. You can have anything you want, but you have to want it. Then you have to go work for it. So if somebody wants a mate, and they want what they want, they know they have a criteria list what they're looking for. You just have to believe you can do it. So you manifest it in your head, then you go out and you accidentally on purpose bump into the right energy.
I
That's what
like
I
that.
that's what I tell them. Yeah.
That's a good message. Well, and folks, you heard her earlier. Her website is myrnalou.com. It'll be in the description for anybody listening to the podcast, so you can just click and go. That
Oh,
way, it's
good.
easier.
Thank you. Yeah.
And the spelling thing will throw people off. I would do
Now
that
let
anyway.
me tell
So,
let me tell them my email too. So Palmist Palmist at myrnalou.com.
oh, there you
So a
go,
lot of
folks.
people write to me.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I mean, it's a interesting thing. I mean, it's always been one of those things. Like I've been to carnivals and stuff, and like there's been palm years, but my parents used to always like shun me away from those types of things and be like,
Right.
"We're not wasting
Yeah.
our money." And I'm like, "But I want to have it done. Like it
Well,
seems interesting."
okay, so here's the thing. If you want to send me your hand, send it to palmist at myrnalou.com, and I'll look at it and I'll write back to you and tell you what I saw.
Okay, I can do
Not
that.
five and
I
a
can
half
definitely.
pages. I mean, it'll be like an overview, a real quick one, but I'll do it for
Oh
you.
yeah, that's fine. I don't need it. I don't
Now,
need
when
every
you
detail
have
in the
five
world.
minutes, I want you to look up my website too.
Oh, I will.
Now that you know it won awards, you should look at it.
Oh, I'll definitely take a peek at it and take a
You're
see
not
what's
on
up.
there yet, but we're going to put you on tonight or tomorrow. I have a whole list of radio shows that I've done, and it's about
Oh,
this
okay,
long, and you'll be the next one I put on there.
love it. I love promotion. And all my listeners, watchers, you guys know where you can find me by now. If you don't, shame. But listeners, check the outro. It'll be there, as always. And I want to thank Myrna for coming on because it's been a
Thank
very
you. Yes.
fascinating discussion. I've enjoyed this immensely.
Oh,
And
good.
I will be back on, I believe, Monday with another interview, folks. So come back and check that one out. And make sure to go check out Myrna's site. Have a good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Okay, night.
You can find me on Facebook as Jeremy Bryant, or you can find me as Uncensored, Unapologetic, and Untamed UQ Podcast Collective Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter and the Instagram as at Juggalo Bastard, or should I say X now. And you can find me on TikTok as at Juggalo Bastard Podcast. You can also find me on YouTube as Paranormal the New Normal. And you can also find me streaming on YouTube as Blind Knowledge Network, because all knowledge is blind until they admit Bigfoot exists.